Hello, everybody. Welcome to Unleash Your Life Force. I am your host, Dr. Natasha Nelson. So, if you've been listening to the first episodes, then you noticed I changed my name of the podcast. And the reason I did that is, over these episodes, what I realized is every topic, every episode on the one topic is really about where, consciously or not, are we draining the energy, the life force that allows us to heal, to function, to survive, to rejuvenate. And that's where we're going to go, in the direction I'm really going to take us now moving forward. And it's really about how, if you've heard my other episodes about health and what health means, how to be healthy. And I truly believe that it starts with finding all the places we are draining our energy that we need, that we rely on, that our body requires for health to even be possible. And so I want to thank you so much for your comments and the feedback of the first 20 episodes. It's been fun and I appreciate you for listening. And as we continue, some of the topics are going to get deeper, and that's the intention, is really to help you make sense of what you feel, what you may be going through, and for me to offer just the insights that I've learned along the way that helped me and hopefully can make a difference for you. And so today we're going to take a deeper dive into the discussion about depression. And this is a couple part series over the next episodes. But today the question I want you to think about is, here's why you may not be depressed. You may actually be depleted. There's a lot of overlap and there's mistakes of just misunderstandings and misinterpretations of, are you depleted? Are you depressed? What does that mean? And so that's what we're going to talk about today. So depression and depletion, while they may overlap, they are not the same. And so the better you are at discerning symptoms, discerning information, becoming in tune with your body, the better you are at being able to find the right solution. So I want you to think about these symptoms. Are you feeling uninspired and unable to motivate yourself to do what you need to do and even the things that you want to do? Is your mind saying, get up and go to work and go work out and go complete the project that you want or go start a new adventure? And your body just won't cooperate. It just won't go. Are you noticing that you prematurely stop, leaving projects incomplete because you just can't focus all the way to the end and that you don't have the energy to complete the project all the way to the end? Are you feeling a lingering sadness that just seems to hover over you no matter what you do? Do you want more sleep, even though you're sleeping enough? Do you want more sleep and more naps, and even through the day where you just feel like you want to lay in bed or lay on the couch and you feel guilty and think of it as being lazy? So I want you to think about those symptoms and you start to realize, well, are you feeling depressed? Is that depression? Or is it depletion? So what's the difference? So the difference in this part is really about varying intensities of the same issue. Because illness and injury and disease occur in the places in our body where we are compromised, where we are vulnerable because we lack the energy at the cellular level to fight infections, to heal. And it leaves us in this place where mild injuries just become chronic, where inflammation becomes chronic. And all of those are factors for depletion and depression. I remember for me so clearly, when my biggest fear was realized. And it wasn't the loss of my business. When I ran a full, I've shared before, I ran a full chiropractic and wellness center. And it was when I lost all of that and lost all of my money and lost retirement and savings. I lost all of that. But that wasn't the biggest fear that came to life. For me, after that, it was I had lost my will to fight. I had lost the will to start over. It's like I had nothing left to pick myself up and keep moving and keep going and start over. And every ounce of energy that I had was gone. And that was the first time that I had ever felt that feeling, which was completely empty. And I didn't wake up like that one morning. It was gradual. It was a slow depletion of my life force energy. And I didn't notice. I guess honestly, I wasn't paying attention. I just didn't believe that I would get to that place of such exhaustion to the point that I could no longer get up and function and take on another day. And I think about that time a lot because I think about not stuck in that space, but from a place of understanding what happened. Because I really believe that if you understand what happened, not just the outcome, but how you got there, then you can avoid it and make changes the next time. So what happened for me was, motherhood happened and a divorce happened and life happened. And honestly, though, it's like I had been running on all cylinders for years. And I had no boundaries and I had no self-care and I wasn't taking time off. And all of it was of my own doing. I set up my life that way. And I was busy and always busy. And honestly, but I loved the life that I created. It was the life that I wanted. I was doing all the things that I wanted. And finally, all of the hard work I was there. I had reached it. And, from playing volleyball, and that's like at the time, I was running my wellness center, and I was playing volleyball, and I was still playing competitively, but I wasn't traveling. And I was married and a new mom, and my life was full, and I loved it. I was doing everything that I wanted to do, but the signs were there. And eventually, about a year and a half later, I divorced. And my full life, busy life, really became less manageable. And every day was a little more overwhelming. It's like I had another errand to run, another thing that required my attention. Like I barely had time to think, and I certainly had no time to feel. It's like I had too much going on, and everything was in this place where one wrong move and it's like all of the Jenga pieces of my life would collapse. And I knew it and I felt it, and I just really didn't know what to do, so I didn't make any changes. And then that frantic and hectic pace became so overwhelming, and then it happened. It's like there was that day where, I'd been fighting so hard to keep all the pieces together and keep everything in place, and that day came when I had just enough money to pay rent for my home and where I was living, or pay rent for my office space, but I could not do both. And I had to make a choice. And my heart was broken and my ego was bruised and my soul was crushed because my dream life was crashing and I couldn't stop it. And there were signs along the way. I just didn't know how to pivot my life. Even when I saw the signs, I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to change. I didn't know what to do. And I felt stuck, and I just, that was what was so hard. And not knowing what to do to pivot, my mind would be like, well, do more of what got you to this place of being successful. So I was that place where I'm like, okay, well, do more and push more and fight harder and fight harder and fight harder, because that's what I knew how to do. And I pushed so hard until literally I had nothing physically, emotionally, and I was bankrupt in every way, including financially. And so I paid rent for my apartment, and I took everything out of the office, and I went to bed. And that next morning, it's like beyond fear and panic, I felt terrified. There was a level of terror. I felt lost. I felt confused. And all I could do was cry. And I cried, and I couldn't stop crying. And it's like I could breathe, and then I would just cry. Because really, more than just my business, my identity was gone. For years, I had been my protector and my provider, and I was a successful doctor, and whatever success meant at the time for me, and by society's standards, it's like I had made it, and I was successful, and I was doing it, and that was part of the identity that I had that I didn't have anymore. It was gone. And I cried some more, and tears of terror started to take over, realizing I only have 30 days to figure out my life and to figure out how to make it happen again and pay rent. And that terror that started to take over was I was a single mom, and the belief that if I couldn't pay rent, my child would be taken away from me. Because my whole life, that's what I had heard growing up, that if you are homeless and that your child could be taken from you at any time if some person at CPS deemed you an unfit mother. And because I was jobless and homeless, and I judged myself as an unfit mother, the fear and terror was starting to really come on. So that terror was like, okay, we got to get up and go find a job now. And my body was like, I can't get out of bed. I can't take a shower. I can't move. My mind wouldn't let me go. And I felt paralyzed with fear, but paralyzed with exhaustion. I had collapsed in bed, and I couldn't get up, couldn't get out, I couldn't get moving. I didn't know how to fight. I didn't know how to survive. I didn't know how to protect myself. And I think about those times a lot because I knew I needed to get up and go, and I couldn't. And it's like, well, was I depressed? Yes. And was I depleted? Absolutely yes. The life that I had dreamt of for myself was gone. The life that I created and made for myself was gone. The life that I'd fought so hard for had collapsed. And I didn't have a backup plan. I didn't have a way out. I didn't know what to do. And so I asked my mom to move down from Northern California, and she did. And I asked her to move in with me and help me take care of my daughter and take her to school, and so that I could sleep and cry and look for a job, and she agreed. And the day that I finally allowed myself to feel the intensity of the grief and the magnitude of the loss, my body crashed so hard that that 1 week turned into 6 months. And it was the depletion, the depression, the dis-ease that all finally just took me out. And so my question for you, and I share this because I want you to think about what stage are you in? Because there's a whole gray scale of energy depletion and depression. And it's like the loss of that life force energy, it's not overnight. And the process may barely be perceptible to your 5 senses on a day-to-day basis. And you don't know until at times it's too late. But if you're really honest with yourself, you did know, because your soul knows. Your soul knew. My soul knew. And this is not, there's no judgment here. There's no blame. It's not about fault. It's not that at all. It's about recognizing that the signs and symptoms are present. Oftentimes they are very clear, and we are either too busy to notice or unable to really understand and decipher what we are recognizing and what we are seeing, and we don't really understand the meaning. And sometimes we do know, we just don't know what to do. We don't know what to do with the information that's presenting. And so we continue and pretend as if it's fine and continue as if it's going to go away, and work harder and push more and go to the things that allowed us to be successful in the first place, because that's all we know to do. And so are you feeling depletion, or are you feeling depression? And really only you can answer that, because depression is as much of a soul crisis as it is a physical one. And depletion is really the warning signs and the early symptoms that let you know something is not okay and something has not been okay for a long time. So if you are feeling exhaustion or chronic fatigue and burnout, your soul will find a way to get you to stop and pay attention one way or the other. And you may not like what happens, but some part of you will also feel a little bit relieved. I know I did. I felt relieved when I closed my office. Still terrified. I didn't want to let it go, but there was a little part of me that was relieved, that had wanted it to close years earlier. I just didn't know how to. And so exhaustion and depletion are really part of, the labor pains of a new life that is being birthed. Something new is coming. And depression is you fighting so hard to keep the old life, to keep the way things are, to keep it the way you want it, and you don't want it to change, so you fight so hard to keep it. And that's the amount of energy that's draining you. Because how much energy are you losing fighting so hard to keep your life the same, knowing that there's something that's ready to go? How much energy are you losing just fighting so hard to keep all the pieces in place, and fighting so hard because you know that one wrong move and the whole thing is going to collapse because the foundation is no longer stable. You just don't know how to change it. You don't know yet. And that's the terror that can start to come in that is really going to drain so much more energy than you realize. So what is the cost that you are paying to hold on to a life that you may or may not even love anymore, that may and really may not even be working for you anymore, but it's a life that's familiar. It's a life that you know. It's the life that you understand. And it's what you trust because you created it and it's there and you can see it. You know how it operates. You know what to do with it. But something in you, if you're really paying attention, knows it's time to let something go. And if you don't change it, something will be changed for you. So are you depleted or are you depressed? Like I said, only you can answer that. And it's only if you are willing to be so completely honest. Because if you are, you already know the answer. And you are frightened and terrified at acknowledging what you already know to be true. And that's totally okay. And this is where I don't have answers of what to do. I can't make those decisions for you. But I can say is that you're gonna be okay. You will be. Even if you don't know it yet, even if you don't know how, you will be okay. And it's gonna feel really hard. And you're still gonna be okay. And that's my message for you today, that I wish I had really known at the time for me, which was I was going to be okay, even though everything was going to change. So in closing, I want to hear from you. I want to hear if any part of the story resonated with you, if any part of it helps you. I want to hear any questions or comments and your feedback because I love connecting with you. And I want to hear where you are at, and just know that you are not alone, and I'm here to encourage you. And that's why I'm sharing so much of what I went through, to give you that encouragement and to give you just some information that might let you know, like this path that you're on, just keep taking a step forward, even if that step forward means it's time to crash in bed and let your body heal and recover. So I am your host, Dr. Natasha Nelson, and this is Unleash Your Life Force. And I'll see you next time. Bye.